Well, hi there. It's good to see you again, or maybe for the first time. My name is Joseph Nix. I am a spiritual practitioner and so much more. I'm an artist and soul having a human experience, and it's so good to see you. Maybe for the first time, maybe for the umpteenth time, however many times you have seen my face, welcome. It's good to feel your energy. And as we begin to start this episode, I just want to go ahead and set the intention right now that everything that is in our highest good is going to happen. Everything that we are intending to grow and learn from may come to the surface today. It may come up later on down the road during the week or next week, whenever we are ready for it. But in this energetic space, in this connection that we share, even through a digital platform, we are opening and grounding the self to receive what is in our highest good, receive what our higher self wants us to know right now. We are also just setting up, a ring of protection around ourselves. Look, I have this keyboard next to me, and I put it up on the thing on the desk, and it's precariously positioned. Um, if you can see, I tap that with my hand, and it did its thing. But anyways, back to the scheduled programming. Is it even programming? Nah, it's not programming. Look, I we are intentional right now in this space to be together so that way we can talk about sobriety, we can talk about spiritual growth in sobriety, and do it in a way that is separate from the 12-step program or the traditional sobriety programs that you have heard of, maybe have participated in, because there exists a space and a time where the old does not work anymore, especially for people like you, like me, who are looking for answers outside of the religious and traditional dogma. We want and we affirm and we believe that Source, Spirit, the higher power that's greater than ourselves, wants us to be comfortable, wants us to be affirmed in our truth, in knowing that, you know, we are energetic beings having a human experience, that what we saw, what we have experienced during an active addiction was real, and where we are right now allows us to make conscious choices that support our spiritual journey in ways that are right for us individually. And all that being said, as I feel like I am rambling, which I'm not, hey, look, I like, I'm recording this because I have to start somewhere, and this is like this is hard for me. This is hard for me because I have started posting content online about recovery and sobriety separate from 12-step programs online. And there have been a lot of positive things said about it, and there have also been some negative things said about it. And I'm only in the first beginning stages of me doing this. I'm like, wow, already I'm being reflected, being shown people that do not appreciate what I'm saying. So, by me recording this, by me putting this out there, by me doing this first episode, I, in many ways, feel confident and grateful and appreciative that I'm in this space to do it. But I also feel anxious and worried and concerned that it's not going to be received in the way that I want it to be received. But I've been given the green light to say what I need to say. I've been supported energetically, been supported spiritually, by my higher power, by my spirit team, to move forward in this pursuit, because they know, and I know, that there are people out there, there are souls out there that are looking for this kind of resource. So, in many ways, this is a first for me, this is a first for many people, and in other ways, it is a disruption to the norm. And as I continue to figure out what that looks like and what that sounds like, I just want to again go back to what I was starting to say. In setting the intention for this episode, for this gathering that we are called to today, to just be able to speak openly and vulnerably, to be able to receive the message that we need to receive today, and also to be aware that there is so much more room for growth, that my truth may not be your truth, and your truth may not be my truth, and the truth of the collective outside of this community that we're starting to build here may definitely and is definitely different than what we personally perceive and experience. And all of those things are true and okay at the same time. Many different recovery programs exist, many sobriety programs exist, because it's not one size fits all. There's Recovery Dharma, there's Alcoholics Anonymous, there's Crystal Meth Anonymous, there's Love Addicts Anonymous, and and there's still so much more that I'm leaving out, but all of these programs are created because they know that what you may receive in one group may not be the same in which you receive in another, and the way that it impacts us individually and how and like reminds us how to show up for ourselves in sobriety is different, and that is also okay. So in knowing and acknowledging that is what the intention is behind all of those other programs, this communication that we're having right now is not a program, but instead an opportunity to see a mirror held back up to each other and say, what am I resonating with? What am I not resonating with? Is there any room for change and growth within myself so I can understand what they're saying? Or vice versa, is there anything that they are saying that I do not understand, that I need to just let be on the side? Let be, an acknowledgement of saying, you know what, that's cool for them, but that is not something I need right now. But I want to keep listening. I want to keep engaging, right? Um, the main reason why I am in this space is because for myself, I went through a spiritual awakening while going through addiction. One so much so that I realized that things that I was indoctrinated to believe in the normal was not true. There were energies and uh, beings and things, realities that existed beyond the 4D plane that our eyeballs are able to perceive. And then when I would go to recovery meetings, I'd noticed that not many people were willing to talk about that. Instead, we had this awareness that most of these programs were rooted under religious truth, religious belief systems, and I I couldn't latch on to that because of what I had seen, heard, and experienced in my own life. So this offering doesn't come from a place of telling you that those programs are wrong, that they don't have any truth to them, because there are many things that I take from those programs that I still apply to my life. But I also say that, like, what I'm offering comes from a place of wanting there to be something else, wanting there to be a place, a thing, community where though the spiritual can be discussed and source can come through and speak to us directly. Because I also acknowledge that as a spiritual practitioner, there are things that 12-step meetings and recovery programs reiterate in their language that may not be helpful for our subconscious selves. Okay? So I've done a lot of introduction. I've done a lot of, trying to ground myself to get to where the meat and potatoes of this episode is. And so now I would invite you now to ground and set the intention for yourself as well. So we're just going to go ahead and close our eyes, or you can leave them open, whichever is right for you, and really just allow yourself to get some semblance of where you are in the space, whether it's in your bedroom or in the car. Hopefully you're not in the car, but if you're in the car, sitting in the passenger seat, parked somewhere, maybe you're at work and you're taking a 15-minute break. Maybe you are at a friend's house, or you are in the bathroom, right? Wherever you find yourself, just giving yourself the permission to check in with the body and notice where you are. And just maybe notice any sights and sounds that are coming up at this time. Maybe you're seeing some images dance behind the eyelids. Maybe you're hearing the sound of the ventilation in the house. Maybe hearing some passing cars on the street. And the point of this moment here is not to necessarily get anything from it, but just to ground the body, ground the mind, and again, setting the intention for the self of what do you hope to get from this episode, from this video. Maybe it's just an open-mindedness for what we have to offer today. Maybe it's the intention of wanting to challenge yourself with a differing perspective. Or maybe it's simply the intention of being affirmed of your experience in whatever way that was for you. And knowing that you feel and see and believe things because of your unique perspective. And that is a gift in itself, to be here, to be present, and to acknowledge that the body, the vessel, is working and doing its job to let you, the soul, the energetic being, know what is happening. And with that information, you get to choose the path you take in a way that works for you. So taking in a nice deep cleansing breath in through the nose, holding for a second, and then releasing on the exhale. Good. You can open your eyes if you'd like. So now we're grounded, now we're here, and I think I want to pull a couple cards here that are just going to let us know, check in with the collective energy of like, what is everybody focusing on right now? Ooh. It was just recently the full moon in, oh man, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but we just had a full moon yesterday. And, usually with full moon energy, it is to call or a reminder to release things that are no longer serving you. Like, think of a plate, right? When it's full, you want to clear it. So when you see or hear that it's going to be a full moon, you want to clear your plate or release things that are not serving you. You want to make space for good things to come in. And the question then is, like, what does releasing look like, right? What does letting go of something look like? We can tell ourselves all day long, like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to think about that anymore. I am no longer entertaining. But at the same time, it requires us to follow through on the action, right? We can talk a good talk, but we have to play a good game as well. And in this case, right, as we are choosing sobriety, we can talk about letting go of the addiction. We can talk about letting go of the habits that are not doing us any favors. They are instead pulling us back, holding us stagnant. But if we don't follow through on actually choosing the opposite action, then we are not really getting anywhere. We're not really doing ourselves any favors. So the energy right now, we've got a couple of cards coming out here. And usually when I pull cards, I'm always allowing my higher self as well as source to come in, the energy or the power greater than ourselves to direct and let us know what they want to talk to us about. And I think that should do it. Usually I'm good about controlling how the cards come out, but like in terms of like not letting them fall all over the place. But today they're getting a little bit spicy. So it looks like we have a beginning, middle, and end here, and I love this. The beginning, the energy that the collective may be feeling, and again, you, as I had mentioned in the beginning, slightly in the beginning of this video, take what resonates and leave behind what doesn't, right? So if it's making sense to you, if that's something that you feel like, oh yeah, that's something I'm working on right now or considering right now, great. You can take that information and put it into your tool belt and use it however you see fit, right? Because you are the driver of your own train. So sexuality is coming out here, and I'm gonna just cover that here because I don't want anybody to. But sexuality is coming out here, and it's this reminder about openness, sharing, beauty, honor. And what I'm really understanding is that the collective, as I'm channeling this information, and the collective is really starting to understand that the way in which they express themselves or the way that which they connect with other people has been so sexually charged. You're so focused on, what somebody can give you pleasure in and what you can give other people pleasure in. Because maybe your addiction, maybe your drug of choice, maybe the way in which you were showing up in your previous life was so focused on the intimacy, so focused on the sexual nature of things, because that's how you felt validation. That's how you felt love. That's how you felt being secure. That's how you felt connection, period. Where in your childhood or growing up or even early on in adulthood, you found that connection was difficult for you. And so latching on to this sexuality, latching on to this overhype of needing to be intimate with somebody made you feel safe. So this curiosity of like, how can I reshift that in my sobriety? What does that look like now? Because I don't want to have to give all of myself into doing that, but I also still value it. What does that look like for me now? So this is interesting because as we're talking about like this over giving, over exerting in these intimate relationships, we also find that the grounding card comes out here, and this is to do with our root chakra, and the passion card, the heart chakra here is coming out, right? So grounding yourself, the curiosity now is like, how can you ground yourself in things that actually do bring fulfillment, things that actually do bring you joy outside of the old habits, the old playthings that you thought gave you that sense of security, right? So this, as we wrap up like with the cards here, we've got the gut instincts and will. And it's so interesting here because Source is reminding us that, look, your natural inclination, this little voice in the back of your head, the way that your heart is pulling you forward now, is telling you, reminding you that you don't have to live like the old way anymore. You know what is doing too much for yourself. You know what is not healthy for you. And there's this voice, there's this feeling, there's this pull in the opposite direction of what you used to do, because you know what is in your best interest to do. There's the sense of will of like you now having to follow through on that willpower. Don't give in to the primal instinct of wanting to do something because you feel like it is, it feels good, or that's how I should be, or, that's what everybody else tells me is the right thing to do. You don't have to live that way anymore. So, really, what I'm understanding with this card pull is that when we move through sobriety, especially within the first 30, 60, 90 days, especially if you were someone who identifies with chemsex or somebody that chose to use substances in order to have a more gratifying sexual experience, you do not have to live that way anymore. You're choosing not to live that way anymore. And it is overwhelming sometimes when you're trying to consider what your new life looks like without those things. It can feel frustrating because now we're grieving an aspect of ourselves that gave us some sense of gratification, some sense of clarity and feel goodness, right? And now we have to figure out what it looks like now to not have those things. Remembering, especially with these gut instinct card that came out here and the willpower card here, sometimes it can feel like you know what you need to do, but it's uncomfortable, or it feels impossible to not do that anymore, right? Or to not be the old way. It feels difficult or challenging to lean into the new way of doing things. A lot of what they're encouraging you to consider right now, and when I say they, I'm saying your spirit team, your higher power, the energies at this time that are here surrounding you, loving on you, praising you, like uplifting you, that are encouraging you and telling you that they believe in you. These energies are saying, look, this is an excellent time to get really still. This is an excellent time to really just sit in the present, find a way to connect your body and your mind, find a way to breathe in an air or an energy of peace, and then connect with the things that you might find joy, passion, love, longing to do that don't have anything to do with harmful, hurtful, deceitful, painful experiences anymore. So let that just kind of like percolate, let that just kind of sit for you. For me, what that brings up, because as I think about this, when I was dealing with addiction, when I was still moving through having to choose between drugs and sobriety, or, choosing between relationships and being single, I really felt a longing to just be with someone, because I had felt in my childhood that I was always alone, that I never was validated or loved for the person that I knew myself to be, my happy, joyful, vibrant self. I always felt like I was fighting to just show up as me. And in addiction, I found that there were so many people that were willing to love on me and to make me feel good physically, but at the cost of using drugs, using alcohol to keep that relationship dynamic alive. And so what really was happening is that I was giving myself to these situations where I became an object, and all I knew, all I understood was that I was someone that was being loved because of my body. All I understood was that in order to feel safe, I needed to give myself sexually to someone, give myself emotionally to someone who really didn't care about me, but offered peace or offered some sense of security because drugs were involved and because I gave them sex. And that was unfair to me. And moving into sobriety, it took me a very long time, into which sometimes I still find myself struggling with mentally, in that, I am okay being by myself. I am okay working on myself, not needing the validation from anybody else. I don't need to seek out a relationship. I don't need to seek out a relationship that is built on sex, built on drugs, because it doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't keep my soul or my spirit happy. It drains my energy. it makes me feel like I am living for somebody else instead of living for me. And in all of that acknowledgement, it becomes it then boils down to my willpower, or my intention to choose what is good for me, what is healthy for me. And that for a long time was difficult to figure out, or difficult to to choose, because my body, my mind was so accustomed to doing the old way, was so physically attached to the the substances. And when I say all this, when I share about choosing the opposite, choosing to go following your willpower, remember that the addiction is very much a psychological and physiological response, or a challenge to overcome, just as much as it is a spiritual and energetic one. So please don't mistake what I'm sharing to be, oh, well, you just need to do some energy work and suddenly it's going to be all okay. If you've been doing a substance, if you've been using alcohol, if you've been engaging in unhealthy activities for so long and the body becomes accustomed to it, it can become very challenging physically, emotionally, and psychologically to remove the self from those activities and habits, because now your body has become so dependent on it. Your emotional well being is dependent on it. So, when I offer these tools, when I offer these conversations, remind yourself that I'm still encouraging you to seek out professional licensed providers who can track and chart your progress, who can offer healthy solutions that may be in the form of medication, maybe in the form of psychotherapy, maybe in the form of attending some peer recovery groups, whatever you feel is right for you. But my role here is to offer the spiritual and metaphysical component that you may be craving or missing out on while going through those other steps, right? And so, really, coming back to the message, coming back to the conversation that, Spirit is asking us to consider, the the sexual piece of addiction can be really challenging to remove the the desire from, right? Because all of us want to be loved, all of us want to be connected to someone in one way or the other. And if we never really felt like we got that in childhood or early adulthood, these relationships, these connections that we've built through active addiction can be even more challenging to walk away from. So I encourage you to give yourself grace, to give yourself compassion for knowing that at least right now in this moment, you are acknowledging, like, yes, that is not good for me. Give yourself grace and compassion and know that it takes time to move away from the things that you have built a habit around. You do not have to cut everything off right now. It would be great if you could, but we also remember the psychological and the physiological response, or the connections that are tied to these addictive patterns, these addictive tendencies. You know, all that being said, one thing that I want you to take away from, what I would hope that you would take away from this conversation, or this message, is that you are not a broken person. There is not anything that you are doing wrong by showing up here today and saying, I have options. I can do things differently. I have a means of connecting to a power greater than myself, whether that's source, spirit, your higher power, your spirit team that encourages you, or you use tools like the 12-step program or the recovery program, other recovery programs, or licensed professionals, or a community that engages your willingness to be sober. You get to choose, right? But there is nothing that you are doing wrong by showing up here today. Nothing at all. So I want to kind of move into now giving ourselves permission to do some energy work, because again, even though this is a psychological and physiological challenge that we get to work with, and I encourage you to remind yourself that this is something we get to work with, not that we have to work with, because in the grand scheme of things, we are graced to be alive right now. We have and I like to believe that we have chosen this path of addiction because it allows us to come back to the self. It allows us to love the self in ways that we wouldn't have been able to get in other timelines or in other ways. Um, so, and in not and acknowledging that we are still alive today, we get to rather than we have to. And the get to gives us the opportunity to say, look, I still have a choice. I still get to choose whether or not I want to engage in sobriety today. I still get to choose whether or not I want to find some tools and resources that work for me. And I get to just celebrate the fact that this is a new conversation, or a recurring conversation that I am having with myself and a power greater than me, right? So, in again, acknowledging all of what we've shared today, I want to do some energy work. I'm going to do some Reiki and send this to you. And since we've acknowledged that this is more so dealing with the sacral chakra as well as the solar plexus chakra and the root chakra, I'm going to be sending that energy down into those areas for you. So that way you may find a little bit of shifting, you may find a little bit of awakening and spark or pep in your step, so to speak. But knowing that you have all the power to receive, that you have all the power to reject. It is up to you. I'm sending this because I love you and I want you to find things that, or receive things that are in alignment with you. I hope I'm not monologuing. I hear that I am. They're like, just get to the energy work. But, again, this is just the first video I'm really putting out there. So I'm giving myself space to actually do that. And in this vulnerability, like, yeah, it is happening. I'm doing the thing. So let's go ahead and ground the self. Remember to drink plenty of water when we before and after this. So if you want to pause this video, go grab some water and come back. Reiki is the energy that lives around us, that sending Reiki is life force energy that we get to send and receive to people through source, right? So I am not sending it from my body. I'm channeling it from source, channeling it from the energy that we are all connected to send it directly to you, so that way you may find healing and find growth and confidence and power through. And knowing that Reiki is a practice that requires us to be open to receiving. Please remember to say I consent before I send this over to you. Otherwise, you can just skip over this. Yeah, so let's just get into it. So you can with eyes open or closed, whatever is right for you. You can feel comfortable to lay on the bed, but I'm gonna go ahead and send this over to you, and just a 5-10 minute energy shift, and then we'll move into the latter part of our conversation here. Okay, so hopefully you found some energetic shifts. Make sure that you drink plenty of water after all of that, as I will make sure to do so as well. And remember, everything that happens here is for the highest good, and when it is for the highest good, only the good can happen. And so it is. Look, I want to do one more thing with you before I want to engage with you. And so we're going to do guided meditation here, and then we'll wrap up this episode. How's that sound, right? This guided meditation is this opportunity to kind of like really think about the things that you thought about during this conversation, and knowing that this is only going to continue to get better. This is only going to be a journey or a path that continues to show us what lies in store for us, what we have left to do, what good things are coming for us, and acknowledging all of that. Whatever comes to mind, talk about it with your guides in your mind, and allow yourself to just be moved by source in a way that's right for you. I feel like I'm rambling here, but you know, who will see this? I'm not for sure. This is the first for me, so we're gonna just show up and do it, okay? Um, okay, so hands can be in the lap or down by the side. You can be sitting up or laying down. In acknowledging that sobriety is a path that is individual for our own selves and not to be dictated or mandated by anybody else, we give ourselves permission to show up in a way that's authentically ourselves, giving ourselves space to ground in now through the tips of the toes and noticing how that feels when we connect to Mother Gaia, to the energy of the earth, noticing this energy that is shared between your body, your vessel, and the surroundings, your room, the surface beneath you, the environment around you. This giving and taking, this loving and receiving, this openness, this vulnerability. And as this energy connects to this energy of groundedness, we can now give ourselves permission to draw that back up into the body, past the ankles, past the calves, past the knees, into the thighs and the hips, up into the lower abdomen, the chest, the shoulders, down to the elbows, arms and forearms, hands and fingertips, and allowing the self to continue breathing as you're doing so, allowing yourself to feel this gentle rise and fall of the chest, and moving without any sense or needing to prove to the self one way or the other that you are doing it right. You are just showing up as you are right now. We move this energy, this groundedness, up into the shoulders, the neck, the jaw, letting the tongue hang comfortably in the bottom of the mouth, jaw releasing and relaxing, letting go of any tension or tightness, and then moving it now into the cheekbones, the temples, the forehead, and up into the crown, the top of the head. And as this energy comes up out of the crown, we're now connecting to source, to higher self, to spirit team, to any higher energies that are here to assist us at this time in our highest good. Welcoming love and light, welcoming in peace and serenity. And as you do so, drawing this energy back down into the crown, down into the body, allowing it to go down into the heart center, and feeling what that feels like for you. And so as you're engaging the breathing, letting the rise and fall of the chest occur naturally, easily, and normally, we're just allowing ourselves to be present here. For in this guided meditation, the intention is just to be grounded, just to be aware of the self, not pushing or forcing any one thing or the other. Listening to the sound of my voice or maybe drifting away from it. Allowing the mind and the body to connect. Allowing the thoughts to freely move through the mind. Taking what resonates, leaving behind what doesn't. And just letting the silence, letting the sounds around us fill the space. And continuing, allowing the self to feel the breath continue, feeling the space move around us safely and securely. And knowing that whenever we choose, we can always come back to this sense of peace and serenity and calmness. Not forcing anything, just allowing it to come. Allowing the breath to carry us, having a gentle rise and fall of the chest as it does naturally and normally. And taking into consideration what we heard here today and what we felt here today, whatever resonated with us, we can let it be. And whatever did not, letting it go. And if your eyes happen to flick open, that's okay. If you're feeling a little bit antsy, that's okay. We're just getting comfortable to being here, being present. And now taking in a nice, deep, gentle, cleansing breath in through the nose. Holding for just a moment. And releasing on the exhale. Good. And now, if you can open the eyes. Getting a sense of where you are. Maybe stretching and moving. Hands and fingertips. And paying attention now to what you notice around you. Maybe picking out a couple of things and noticing, those are some glasses, that's a pillow, that's a blanket, that's the ceiling. Really grounding the self. Good. So now, I'd like to write a thank you. A nice little thank you to myself. Because why not? I showed up, I did what I needed to do today, and by making this video, by being present, doing something for the first time, being unapologetic, not filtering, not editing, and allowing myself to enjoy the moment. And you did that too. We did it together. We allowed ourselves to experience the awkwardness, we experienced the silence, we experienced the moving and the shaping of whatever it is that Source and Spirit had for us today. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this cute little thank you for me. And I'm just gonna say, Joe. Joe, you are loved. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for being you. Thank you for trying something new. Go you. And I'll just put love you and your silly self. Maybe you might try writing yourself a cute little thank you note. and see how that makes you feel. Put it up in a nice little space because, hey, everybody could use a little bit of encouragement. And then that way, whenever I'm feeling a little bit down, I can just pick it up, tell myself why I love myself, why I thank myself, what things I do well, and maybe it might make me feel a little bit better for the day. If you haven't heard it today, know that I love you. Do everything you can to remind yourself that you are loved, because you are. You are exactly right where you need to be. And don't push yourself to be one thing or another. You don't have to show up in places you don't want to show up. You don't have to be anything that anybody is pressuring you to be. You just get to be you. And that's so beautiful about sobriety, is we get to just be us in whatever shape and form that looks like, right? So if again you haven't heard it today, I love you. I guess I'm not rambling, but I'm just in shock. I'm in a good way of like, wow, I actually did it. I committed to making the video. It's gonna look super cringe maybe in about a week, but I did it, and I'm only gonna get better, and we're only gonna get better. That's the point. When you start off in your sobriety journey, you may look and feel like you are grasping for straws, like you don't know what you're doing, that you are uncoordinated and incapable of doing anything that you used to be able to do. But the lesson learned, at least through me doing this, is that, and by us being in this space together, it's that as we move through sobriety, we get stronger, we get more courageous, we get bolder, we get more confident, we become a version of ourselves we always dreamed of becoming, but only is possible through sobriety. And that is so exciting. So who knows where we're gonna be in a week, let alone a month or a year from now. Give yourself permission to dream big. Go big or go home. I mean, you did it in addiction, but now can you challenge yourself to do it in sobriety? I'd love to see where you go. I'd love to see where you go. So again, my name is Joseph Nix. I'm a spiritual practitioner and an artist, and I'm so happy and grateful that I'm here to be in this space with you. Be kind to your mind and tell yourself you love yourself. All right, I'll see ya.